You're in the middle of a sentence. You know exactly what you want to say next. You can feel the thought. You can almost see the word. And then, nothing. The word just disappears. And suddenly, you're standing there, mouth open, brain spinning. And the worst part, the more you reach for that word, the further it gets. If that has ever happened to you, and I know it has, I want you to understand something important right now. This is not a memory problem. It's not even a vocabulary problem. And it is absolutely not a sign that your English is not good enough. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what's happening in your brain when this occurs, why the usual advice makes it worse, and the real fix, which is actually two fixes working together simultaneously. So let's get into it. All right, let's start with the diagnosis, because if you don't understand why this happens, you will never fix it properly. There are four things happening when you forget a word mid-sentence, and it's usually a combination of these. Cause number one, the word you're trying to remember is still passive for you, not active. You've seen the word before, you've read it, you might even be able to recognize it when you hear it, but you've never been forced to produce that word under pressure. And there is a huge difference between recognizing a word and being able to reach for it in real time in a conversation when you most need it. Think of it like this. You might know the layout of a city you visited once, but if someone blindfolded you and dropped you in the middle of that city, you would be lost. Familiarity is not the same as fluency. Recognition is not the same as retrieval. Cause number two, anxiety is shutting down your memory. The moment you feel pressure in a conversation, you're being evaluated, you want to impress someone, you are in an important meeting, your brain goes into a mild fight or flight state. And in that state, the part of your brain responsible for language memory and retrieval gets less blood flow, less resources. In other words, the harder you try to remember the word, the less likely you are to find it. The pressure you feel is the problem. Cause number three, you are already in the next sentence in your head. This one is sneaky. A lot of learners, when they speak, are simultaneously thinking about what they're currently saying and planning what comes next. And when you're doing two things at once, one of them is going to break. You lose the word you're looking for because half your brain already moved on. You are not fully present in the moment, in the sentence you're using. Cause number four, and this is the one nobody talks about. You don't give yourself enough time. Most learners are terrified of silence. They feel like a pause means failure. Like if they don't fill the air with a sound, the other person will think they're not fluent. So they rush. They start speaking before the thought is fully formed in their heads. And halfway through the sentence, they realize, oops, I don't have the word. Now, here's the good news. Every one of these four causes has a fix. And the fix comes in two parts. One for what you do in your daily study, and one for what you do in the moment. Let's start with the daily practice side. Everything I'm about to explain requires regular speaking practice, not just studying. And I know that for a lot of you, finding consistent speaking practice is the hardest part. The B2 Edge app has an AI speaking coach that puts you in real conversational scenarios at your level, on your schedule. It's designed specifically to build the kind of active retrieval you need to stop blanking mid-sentence. Link in the description. Check it out. Fix 1. Immersion. You need to move vocabulary from passive to active. And the way to do that is through immersion and output. Let me tell about a student I worked with. I'm not going to use his name, but his situation was incredibly common. He was B2 on paper. He understood most of what he read. He could follow conversations. But the moment he had to speak, he would freeze. Words would vanish. When I looked at his week, the problem was obvious. He came to class once a week, and that was it. No English between sessions. No movies, no podcasts, no music, no reading, just the weekly 1 hour. And then, nothing until the following week. It's like his vocabulary lived in a box he only opened once a week. Of course, the words weren't there when he needed them. So I asked him to make one change, just one, every single day for at least 30 minutes. English content. Anything he actually enjoyed, a series, a podcast, music, whatever. The condition was it had to be daily and it had to be something he chose himself. 3 months later, I sat down with him for a conversation class again, and I noticed it almost immediately. The pauses got shorter. The words came faster for him. The freezing was almost gone. He hadn't taken a grammar course. He hadn't memorized new vocabulary lists. He had simply surrounded himself with English every single day, and his brain gradually, quietly, started keeping the words closer to the surface. This is how vocabulary becomes active, not through memorization, through exposure, through your brain encountering a word again and again in different contexts with different emotions attached to it, until the word stops being a fact to know and becomes a tool you actually use. So, immersion builds the storage. But what about the moment the word still doesn't come, even after all that? That's where the second fix comes in. And honestly, this one changed the way I think about speaking any language. Fix 2, the pause and circumlocution. This one is about what you do in the moment. I want to talk about the pause. Most learners are at war with silence. The moment there is a gap, they panic. They fill that gap with how do I say? I forgot the word. Anything to avoid the silence, because silence feels like failure. But I want you to think about the most confident speakers you have ever watched. Politicians, CEOs, great teachers. What do they have in common? They pause, intentionally, strategically, without apology. And what does that pause communicate? It communicates that what they're about to say is worth waiting for. It communicates that they are not in a rush. It communicates confidence. When you are anxious, when you are chasing the word frantically, your brain is in a retrieval blocked state. The harder you push, the more the word hides from you. But the moment you release the pressure, the moment you allow a beat of silence, your brain relaxes. And relaxed brains remember. You have experienced this, I'm sure. You forget a word mid-conversation, you move on, you talk about something else, and then 10 minutes later, out of nowhere, the word just appears. That's not random. That's your brain finding it the moment you stopped forcing it. So the first in-the-moment tool is this. Before you start speaking, pause. Take a breath. Give the thought time to form before you commit to the sentence. And mid-sentence, if the word still doesn't come, pause again, no problem. Not I'm lost kind of pause, but I'm thinking kind of pause. You see, there's a difference. Your body language tells the story. Shoulders relaxed, eyes up, not apologetic. The second in the moment tool is circumlocution, navigating around the word you don't have. Let me give you an example. Imagine in a conversation, you forget the word ambitious. Instead of freezing, you can say, well, yeah, he's the kind of person who always wants more, always pushing for the next level, never satisfied with where he is. You see? Did I use the word ambitious? No. Did I communicate the idea of ambitious? Absolutely. This is what fluent speakers do all the time, in their native language and in foreign languages. They don't stop at the gap. They go around it. They describe the concept, give an example, use a related word, make a comparison. Circumlocution is not a sign of weakness. It's a communication skill. And the learners who develop it, they stop dreading the blank because they know they can always find another route, another way around the word they forgot. And here's something I want you to sit with. Native speakers forget words too, in their own language, in high-pressure situations. The difference is not that they have the word all the time. It's that they know how to navigate around it when they don't have it. So remember, forgetting words in the middle of a conversation or in the middle of a sentence is not a sign that your English is broken. It's just a sign that your vocabulary needs more active exposure and that you haven't yet made peace with the pause. So remember, fix one, immerse yourself in English daily, not once a week, every day. Your brain keeps words accessible when it encounters them regularly. Fix two, befriend the pause. Before you speak and when the word doesn't come, especially in those moments, release the pressure and let your brain find its way. Finally, fix three, circumlocute or navigate around the word you don't remember. Describe it, give an example, find another way. Communication is not about having every word in our memory. It's about getting the idea across. That student I told you about earlier, the one who only had his weekly class, he didn't change his grammar. He didn't memorize vocabulary lists. He just started showing up for English every day. And within 3 months, his brain started showing up for him. That is available to you too, right now. If you want to put these fixes into practice in a structured way, especially the speaking side, the B2 Edge app is built exactly for this. The app puts you in real conversations where you have to retrieve vocabulary under light pressure. Build the pause into your rhythm and practice navigating when the word doesn't come to you. The link is in the description. Do check it out. But here's what I want you to do today. Listen closely. Regardless of whether, you use my app or not. Tonight or tomorrow morning, 30 minutes of English content. Something you enjoy. Could be a series, a podcast, a song, just 30 minutes. And then do it again the next day. That's how you start building the library, the active vocabulary library in your brain, one day at a time, through regular, daily, frequent exposure to English. Do that, and I guarantee you will start remembering words more often in your conversations. I'm Thiago. Thanks for hanging out with me today. And if you want to keep learning more, I highly recommend to check out this video next. I'll see you in the next one.